Well, good day YouTube, and welcome to another episode of the Albino Rhino beer review. Today you have the Rhino, and we're looking at a beer that was sent to me by the one and only Steve. So thank you very much, Steve, for sending this. This is from Central City. It's from the Central City Advent Calendar. It was Central City Imperial 49, basically. And, what do we have here? This is... What mysteries are brewing in the depths of Gary's Gourd? Amazing, wondrous. It's an Imperial and barrel aged squash ale. So this is 9% alcohol, and it is Gary's Gourd. Gary's Gourd. I don't think I've ever had a squash ale, to be honest with you. What type of squash is it? Butternut squash? Is it a summer squash? Winter squash? What type of squash is it? Is it a I've had yam beers, I've had pumpkin beers, I've never had a squash beer, and I do not think there's any ingredients on here. We set our brewmaster, Gary, loose to create this crazy Imperial strength barrel-aged squash ale. Could it get crazier? Well, when you're the boss, you get to experiment. Let us know what you think. And redrazorbeer.com. Yeah, so motherfucker. Okay. Luckily for me, there's a clothes hamper of dirty laundry beside me. Fucking... Seriously, that was not shaken really at all. The only thing that you saw was me holding it up to the camera and everything. So either an overcarbonation problem from bottle fermentation, slight infection of some type. I would go with an infection though, because there is still a huge amount of head in that bottle. And yeah. Maybe squash just doesn't make very good beer. I don't know. Got floor clean now. And it didn't seem like that much beer had actually come out because there was so much head, but at the same time, the bottle looked full, but the bottle looked full because of how much head was in the bottle at the time. So what do we have? We have, well, a nice reddish color. I mean, it looks good. Lots of head. A little snap, crackle, pop too. Like there is a good deal of snap, crackle, pop going on, so there is a lot of head dissipating at the same time. But that's a beautiful ruby red color. Seeing if I can get it to pick up on the camera, but no, even if I hold it to this, I have an extra light on the table beside me, and even it isn't adding much to it. So that head's dissipating. We'll pour the rest in here. And we'll give the bottle a sniff first. There's so much head still even in the bottle. Yeah, I don't know what kind of squash it is. I don't even think I could differentiate squash by the nose anyway. I don't eat much squash. I eat butternut, and that's about it. I have some butternut squash soup upstairs with ghost peppers in it. But yeah, the beer itself, a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of char, a little bit of that oaky tannin, so you're getting that barrel. A little bit of malted caramel. It actually almost comes off as a brown ale. And then nothing else really to speak of. Basically like a brown ale and barrel. It's like a barrel-aged brown ale, and that's it. And it's an Imperial squash ale, so I don't know. I thought I had smelled something like earthy. Didn't smell it out of the bottle anymore, but my first sniff I thought I smelled something earthy, and then my next subsequent sniffs I couldn't get it, so maybe I was imagining it. And almost something almost slightly fruit-tastic, almost like apple or pear. Let's try it. Cheers. Okay, much like a pumpkin ale, very creamy. Very creamy. Very earthy, very creamy and very earthy. A little bit of caramel up at the forefront. And that's about the end of the forefront. I mean, just a little bit of caramel. Kind of yeah, caramel up at the forefront, and then earthy with a little tiny touch of almost pear, and a tiny touch of charred oak. Almost nothing really, to be honest with you, taste wise. It's very, very subtle, very, very dialed back, and I wouldn't think that for a 9% alcohol barrel-aged beer. Even if it wasn't a squash beer, if it was any type of beer, it's barrel-aged at 9%, I would expect a little more out of it. It does have the barrel-aged thinness. I mean, it is creamy and thick, but it's thin at the same time. It's weird to explain. I mean, it's creamy and thick, but with a light body, if you get my drift. I mean, there's not as much carbonation as you would expect, especially from the head. I would have expected more carbonation playing on the tongue, but there's not all that much. 9% alcohol, is it warming? Not really either. I mean, it's fairly lackluster. Soft, creamy, caramel, pear, earthiness, burnt oak, and a tiny bit of warming. And the burnt oak is really the whole finish, is just that burnt oak taste. Recharred probably a couple times. It's not a bad beer, it's just not a good beer either. It's 9% alcohol, it had to be purchased in the advent calendar. Is it something cool to pull out of the advent calendar? Yeah. Certainly it's something that you could pull out of the advent calendar and get excited about. Is it something that I care to drink again? No, not really. Do I like Central City? Because, you know, you'll get that question, oh, why are you even drinking it if you don't like? I actually love trying Central City beers because I do find them to be, well, for me, I find them to be hit or miss. I mean, there's a lot more hits for me than misses, but I find it that it's either whatever, I don't care, or it's, oh my god, this is great. And it seems to be the way this brewery goes. It seems to be the way a lot of breweries go. I mean, there isn't a lot of breweries where I'm like, you know what, it's good, but it's not great. For me, a lot of it is, it's great or it's not great. And you'll have to wonder, you'll have to sit back and think about that and decide which breweries are great off of which beers you think are great from them. I mean, I've found more beers from Nickelbrook I've liked than I've disliked. My main one I dislike is their gluten-free. From Trafalgar, I found more beers I dislike than I really, really love. But I do find ones I really, really love. And I mean, it comes down to that. Every brewery is different. Every brewery is going to have a different play on your palate. And it's up to you to figure out what you like. And Central City has a lot of beers I love. This just isn't one of them. But do I think it's a bad beer? No, I think it's a fine beer. I'm going to give it a 5.75 out of 10. It's not bad. I mean, it's a good beer. It would be something fun to pull out of an advent calendar. But it's just not something I'd care to really drink ever again after that one time of trying it. Thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you, Steve. Bye-bye.